Mikey Olden, good morning.
What's happening, Neil? Good morning. How are we getting on?
I'm good. And you're in a good place. 25-year-old Southsider, 3 years clean and sober. Congratulations on all of that.
Thank you kindly. Thank you kindly.
Just looking back at your earlier life, because you're at great pains to point out that there were no issues in the home with regards to addictions or anything, or those around you in the family. But in actual fact, you looked up to your family and your parents and the lifestyle they lived. What did you mean by that?
So, not even looked up to, there was no addiction in my immediate family, as in, my brothers and my parents at home, but in the extended family and friends around the family, there would be, I kind of looked up to that, do you know what I mean? The kind of gangstery kind of lifestyle of them people, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No jobs, that kind of stuff, kind of in the pub, kind of during the day and stuff. You know, I'd see them and they'd be saying, don't tell my dad that they're in the pub and this kind of stuff, and I wouldn't, and I just kind of looked up to that in a way.
And did you want to be like them?
I didn't know, this was when I was really young, this was 10, 11, 12 years of age, you know what I mean? And in a way I kind of did, I suppose, I did, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
From a young age, I was kind of a bit self-conscious of myself, just in regards how small I was in school and stuff, do you know what I mean? So I always kind of looked for a way to get rid of that and get out of that and stuff, and I suppose, I thought that was just going to be the way I was going to go, if you get me. That makes sense?
No, I do. And also, let me just say that it's really important to hear what was going through your head as a 10 or 12-year-old, so we can get a better idea now what 10 and 12-year-olds are going through today in 2021, okay?
100%, because, mental health starts when we're, everyone has mental health, no matter what age the person is, you know what I mean? We all have thoughts in our head, so it's just controlling them thoughts, I suppose, you know what I mean?
So what you saw as things that were cool, bravado, great life, people who didn't give a damn, did whatever they wanted, and you thought, you were inhibited by the fact that you were small in class. That way you took up boxing and stuff.
It was. I suppose that was kind of the first ego I had, do you know what I mean? So I kind of took up boxing from a young age, just so people would think that people would all right, he can look after himself, you know what I mean? But in a way, it was all up my own head about what people were going to think of me from a young age, you know what I mean? It's I'm really small now, people are going to think I'm weak and vulnerable and this stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought, boxing, it has kind of a macho stance and stuff around it and stuff. That's wI got into that at a really young age.
And what led you into the drink and drugs? What kind of drink and drugs? I mean, how did that start?
I suppose it started just kind of socially as I was getting older, do you know what I mean? Say 16, 17, it kind of started with drinking a little bit and then maybe smoking some cannabis in the weekend, maybe one night a weekend and stuff. But before I knew it, it went from one night at the weekend with my friends to every day, and I was kind of hiding from my friends and my family that I was taking so much drugs and drinking so much.
How are you funding that?
I was funding it by I had on and off jobs and stuff as I was going through it. To be honest, I wasn't really paying much drug dealers back, so I wasn't really funding it at all. I was just kind of doing everything I possibly could to get the drink and the drugs, and then just kind of going missing and stuff and the drugs escalated then from kind of cannabis to cocaine to ecstasy to prescription pills.
Jeez.
To you name it, really, whatever I could get my hands on.
And were you being hunted down for drug debts? We see these reprisals in the newspapers and on radio of shootings and beatings. Was that ever a worry for you?
It was, I suppose, yeah. I've had people call to my parents' house for money. I've had people take me from my own house when I was living out of home for money and stuff, and brought away and stuff. And it's just consequences of my addiction, I suppose, and consequences of what I was doing, because people had to get paid at the end of the day, even if it was legally or not legally.
So did you get a beating, or did you have to deal to pay back the debt, or what?
Well, I done a bit of both. I got a good few beatings over the years, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. And I also sold a bit as well myself to try pay it back and sold a bit, so I wasn't spending so much money. But I was so stuck up in my own head, about the person I'd become, and I suppose I hated the person I'd become, Neil. I really, really did hate myself.
So this was just getting worse and worse. The nightmare was getting bigger and bigger. And were your folks being hit up for money then as well?
They were, yeah. They dug me out of a hole a couple of times, they did. And I'm blessed to have a family. The family I do, I am blessed to have the family that I do. And they did help me when I was on rock bottom a few times, do you know what I mean?
I suppose school became a non-entity for you, did it?
Well, I wasn't really the brightest crayon in the box in school, do you know what I mean? So I didn't really, I wasn't really that smart in school, do you know what I mean? I wasn't, at all. So I didn't really, I enjoyed kind of going to school for kind of the crack and stuff with the lads and that kind of stuff, but the academic side of things really wasn't for me. Like,
So what kind of
I
shape
tried.
what kind of shape were you in then when did you sit a leaving cert? Did you try or anything like that?
I started leaving cert. Yeah, during sixth year, I kind of like wanted to drop out a few times, and I wasn't really going to school. I was bunking school a lot and stuff, and you know, I sat my leaving cert. Like, I didn't do too well in my leaving cert, like, but I sat it. Like, you know what I mean? I went and I done the exams and I sat it. Like,
but you couldn't use it, or I suppose you weren't in a place where you wanted to use it for a career path. I mean, what kind of shape were you in after you finished leaving cert?
So like it kind of, my kind of drug addiction and stuff kind of got worse after leaving cert. Really, do you know what I mean? It wasn't as bad. It didn't really peak while I was doing my leaving cert. It was more afterwards. Like, a couple of situations happened in my life there, like friends and family passing away and stuff, due to numerous different reasons and stuff. Like, and that just kind of turned my drinking drug use spiraling down. Like, you know what I mean?
Did you lose friends to drug abuse, overdoses, suicide?
Yeah, I did. I did. I lost a few friends, to be honest to it. Like, and like, I kind of got, that's when my kind of drug use and my kind of thing went very kind of dark and stuff. Like, I started to blame myself for things that were happening and stuff that I had no control over, like, and like the guilt and the shame towards my actions and stuff.
Yeah. You were caught on a Ferris wheel of addictions and self-loathing. We'll never know the true suicide numbers amongst the youth. We never will. I'm sure it's I'm sure it's a figure that is never 100% shared. As an accurate number. But at rock bottom, that was the option that you decided upon, that you wanted to live no more, right?
Yeah. So like, a couple of times over the years of my drug use, like, I've thought about taking my own life. I've tried to take my own life on numerous occasions. Like, I've tried to hang myself. I've tried to cut myself. I've tried to jump off things. I've tried to overdose. And, I'd even wake up from a suicide attempt and be like, you can't even do that right. Like, you're just a failure. Like, you know what I mean? And like, that's thoughts that no one should have, like, ever. Like, you know what I mean? They're not thoughts. Like, I was only 21 years of age when this was happening, like 22 years of age.
Were you saved from those attempts, or did you botch it? Is that what you're saying, or what?
So like, sometimes, one or two times, my friends helped save me from it. A couple of times I made the balls, or I didn't do it right, whatever and stuff. And like, I just hated the person I was, like, and I hated life, like, and I hated myself, and I thought there was no way out for me. Like, I thought there was honestly no way I could get out of the rut I was in. I just used more drink and used more drugs to suppress how I was feeling about myself. And it was just an ongoing spiral, like.
And the rock bottom was the last attempt, which led you to intensive care in hospital, right? After an overdose.
Yeah, so I was actually in a friend's house. I was downstairs. They were all at the bed and stuff. And like, I seen what was in front of me that I knew if I took it that I shouldn't have woken up. Like, do the 500 milligram paracetamol tablets, the big white tub.
Yeah.
So the seal was still on that. So I took off the seal and I took the whole lot of them. Like, you know what I mean? I think it's 50 or something, or whatever tablets it was inside it. And this was after a night of drinking, after taking cocaine, ketamine, antidepressants, all that kind of stuff. I just took the whole lot, and I knew that that this was it. Like, I didn't call anyone, I didn't ring anyone.
And how did you feel in that moment? Do you recall how you felt in that moment, having consumed the whole tub?
I didn't care, to be honest. Like, I just wanted to escape from my head. Like, I just wanted to get out of my head. Like, you know what I mean? I just needed to get away from myself. Like I didn't call anyone, I didn't text anyone, I didn't ring anybody. I just done it. Like, and I didn't think of anything afterwards. It was just like, this is the only way I'm going to get out of my head. This is the only way I'm going to get away from the thoughts in my head, is to take my own life.
You obviously passed out, but did they find you soon after, or next morning, or what?
It was like 14 hours later, I think. I'm not 100% sure on the timing and stuff there now. This kind of is all still a bit of a blur to me. Like, but like, my mother brought me to the hospital. They rang my mother, they brought me to the hospital, and they brought me straight in and put me on sodium drips. I was on a list for a liver transplant. I was in a bad way in the hospital that time.
How'd you feel when you came round, found that you were still alive?
I didn't want to be alive still. Like, I was crying and I was shouting and roaring and I was telling nurses I didn't want to be alive, and again I was stuck up in my own head saying I couldn't even do it. I couldn't even take my own life right. Like,
did you get any? Did you get any referral at that point for psychiatric services?
I to be honest, I don't know if I did or not. I was honest to God, I don't know if I was or not. I don't know. Like, the first couple of days I was in the hospital are really a blur to me. Like, I don't really know what was going on, or what, like, at all what was going on.
Oh my God.
And it was after a couple of days, like every single day, what I remember is every single day when I woke up, my parents at the end of my bed. Every single day, after all the stuff I'd put them through and all the stuff I'd done to them, every single day my family was at the end of my bed. And that broke me, to be honest, Neil. Like, it did. Just seeing their faces, like.
I wonder if it did break you, or maybe you needed breaking to hit rock bottom to see the anguish and the worry and the trauma that your parents were going through, in order for you to start building yourself back up again. I mean, let's bounce from there to Tabor Lodge. How did you get in there?
So, like, when I was in hospital, I was after a couple of days. My dad had suggested to me about treatment. Like, he suggested to me about going to treatment. He knows the story where he'd put people, he knows true treatments and stuff before, and he just knew the crack with it. So I kind of, like, I had no other choice. You know what I mean? Not that I had no other choice. I wanted to go, like, do you know what I mean? I was like, I can't go back out living the life I'm living. Like, I cannot continue to do this. Like, so I went down to Tabor Lodge, and I honestly had no idea what I was getting myself into at all. Like, I didn't at all. I thought it was going to be like prison, like that I was going to be up in my room and then coming out from my hour counselling and go back up or whatever. But I got some complete shock when I went down there.
Because many of people told me they break you down to build you back up again, right?
Yeah.
How do they break you down?
So, like, basically they just go back through everything. Like, you know what I mean? They try to get everything back to why you're drinking, why you're taking drugs, the consequences of your addiction, the hurt you've caused people. There's counselling sessions, group counselling sessions. There's also family counselling sessions. So, like, I'd be in the room, my counsellor would be there, and my family would be around, and basically we'd be all just going through everything I'd done to them over the years and done to them over the past, this kind of stuff. And you honestly, like, this would have been the first time in about 6 years that I didn't have drugs in my system, like, or drink or drugs in my system, like, and you're just left with why you were using and why you were drinking then, like.
And if there was one overwhelming emotion from these conversations that you have with counsellors and your
family
there, what would that emotion be?
Oh, just guilt, shame.
Guilt. Yeah.
Guilt and shame, like, you know what I mean? It was like, I'd say I cried every single night I was down in that treatment centre, like, every single night. I didn't really sleep too well down there, and I cried every single night. Because, again, I used drinking drugs to suppress how I was feeling, and now I've no more drinking drugs, and I'm just stuck with it all, like.
How long were you in there? Was it 3 months?
So no, I was in my first treatment centre for a month, 5 weeks, 1 month or 5 weeks. And, like, towards the end of my time down there, I started to open up about how I was feeling, like, and I started to actually speak about what was going on in my head. So this would have been the first time I've ever spoke to anyone about how I was actually feeling, like, and spoke about my mental health, like, and I suppose just showed my vulnerable side a little bit, like, and let the guard down, and I opened up a bit, and I reaped the rewards from it. Like, every time I spoke about something, every single time I spoke about something, that night I went to bed, it was like a weight lifted off my chest. And then that's when I kind of knew that, like, I was like, this might work, like, do you know what I mean? I suppose I found the first bit of hope, like.
So you were very optimistic coming out of Tabor Lodge then, and you moved then onto a fellowship house, which is kind of a step-down facility, is it?
It's a secondary treatment centre, so it's just like, it's treatment again, it's for 3 months, but, like, they leave you out for an hour in the evening to go to Narcotics Anonymous meetings and stuff like that. And, like, again, they just build routine and structure in your life and stuff. But, like, I went to Fellowship House, like, I was guided to Fellowship House from, like, counsellors down there and people in Narcotics Anonymous and stuff. And, like in my head, I thought, like, if I get through Fellowship House now, I'm cured, like, do you know what I mean? I'm cured, I'm going to have no more mental health problems, I'm not going to be an addict anymore, I'm going to be everything fixed and stuff. And, like, after a month in Fellowship House, I got asked to leave, I got kicked out of the treatment centre.
Why?
So I got kicked out of the treatment centre for gambling. Gambling is another addiction, like, and I never gambled before, really. Like, I do bits and pieces throughout my addiction, but, like, because I had no drinking drugs, I was looking for another escape, like.
Were you gambling on your... How do you gamble in a treatment centre? Is it on your phone or something?
So no, you've no phones. So it's like you're allowed out for an hour in the evening to go to a meeting, and so like NAA meetings. But I went to the bookies instead. Um, yeah, I made a mistake, like, and I left the betting slips in my wallet, and then they found them when they do a room search every day, like, and they found them, and
And is that an
um,
automatic expulsion? It is.
it is like, because it'd be like someone that's in, it's like, because there could have been someone in that treatment center for gambling. It'd be the same thing as him bringing in a bag of
Yeah.
cocaine to the
Okay.
treatment
I
center.
know. I know.
You know what I mean?
So how come?
So like,
How come? So you're kicked out of there, but that seems to have been another spark that helped you on your way, as opposed to, like, you didn't go back to the old ways after that, did you?
I thought I was going to, I remember sitting outside the door of that treatment center with my bag packed, and I was crying, and I was calling myself a failure, and I said I've done it again, like, and I automatically thought I was going to go back to that suicidal boy that I was, like, you know what I mean, that person that relied on drinking drugs to live every day and stuff, like, but I it was that day, I think it was the turning point in my recovery, and the turning point in my journey, like, is like, I can do this, like, you know what I mean, I don't need a treatment center to do this, like, I can do this myself, you know what I mean, like,
But
as in, like,
yeah.
I know I can do it, like, you know what I mean.
But
So
what
like that day,
what happens? Yeah, go on. Sorry. Yeah.
so like that day, I got thrown out of the treatment center. I went to 2 Narcotics Anonymous meetings, which would be meetings around the city, just basically people in recovery that go to meet up and chat and that kind of stuff. So I went to 2 meetings, and I went to 2 meetings for every day for a good 6 months, I'd say. Every single day I was going to 2 meetings, like, and I was like, I can do this. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, I think it was that fear of failure I felt when I got thrown out of that treatment center.
Yeah, but
That keeps me going.
what I
Like,
think is amazing as a young fella, I mean, you must have been only about 21 or 22. You had incredible maturity and resolve, even at that young age, to plough on
yeah,
with your recovery, you know? I mean, that takes an awful lot of credit, in fairness.
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, it really
But
does. And but what did in the 3 years there must have been temptations or urges or chemical impulses to have a drink or pick up a tablet
100%,
or coke.
100%, 100%. Like, as in, like, like, some people think like it's an addiction. You go to treatment, you come out and you're cured. You're not, like, you always get them things. Like, I have an addictive personality, Neil, like, do you know what I mean? So, like, I could get addicted to throwing a stone off a wall. I'd want to better myself the next day doing it. Like, you know what I mean? I'd constantly be doing it. Like, it could be anything. And like, over the first year, 2 years, like, I really, really did struggle. I struggled a lot. But like, I couldn't be around any friends or anything, like, do you know what I mean? Like, any friends that I used to drink with, like, they say people's places and things. So I just completely separated myself from everything I used to be with and everyone I used to be with and stuff, because I had to, like, you know what I mean? I had to separate myself from it, because I knew if I was around it that I'd do it, like. So I just separated myself from it, and I suppose I got back into martial arts then afterwards, and that was kind of my new addiction, like, you know what I mean?
Did you get
I
a
just was
job?
training every
You got
single day, like.
steady work and stuff like that? It's important.
So like, back then I didn't have a job. I was on a C scheme, a recovery-based C scheme. So basically, I was growing organic veg up in a garden up in the north side, and like, you get a bit more than the dole from it. Like, so, it's kind of, again, just having routine and stuff. So I had that, and I was training, and then I went back to part-time work. I went back to full-time work, and now I own my own business. Like, you know what I mean? I just before Christmas there, I took the leap and went out on my own. I have my own business the last 6-7 months.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well done. That's
So
incredible. That's
yeah,
incredible.
so like, I have my own kitchen. I've got staff working for me now and everything. You know what I mean? I've my books are full.
Well, are you doing
It's
catering?
crazy, Neil, to be honest.
Are you doing food?
So I'm a chef by trade, like, you know what I mean? So like, I was in and out of chefing my whole life. I worked in Greens. I worked in fancy restaurants all over and stuff whenever I could keep a job, but then I kept losing jobs. So I'm a chef, but like, what I do now is I do tailored nutrition and meal prep. So basically, like, if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to gain weight, if you're trying to, if you have a plan from a said coach, if you're looking for a food plan, I'll do the plan, and then I'll also cook the food. You know what I mean? So I use all produce from the English market and everything and stuff, and I cook twice a week, so it stays fresh. There's no sulfates in the food, and it's just a meal prep company. But I'm just trying to take it to the next level and use my background as a fine dining chef.
What's the company
in meal
called?
prep.
Let's give it a plug while we're on it.
Mikey Olden Meals on Instagram. So it's just enough people know me by my name, so I just threw meals after it, like.
Mikey Olden
Mikey
Meals
Olden
on
Meals.
Instagram. I'm going to try
Yeah.
some of those tasty meals of yours. And what, like, how bad is it out there now, with regards to the pressure with teenagers who have, for whatever reason, and God knows there are many of them, are choosing drugs and alcohol, and it's wrecking their lives, and they're ending up in scenarios where unfortunately, some of them die, they overdose, they commit suicide. They never achieve their full potential. Why is it that bad? How bad is it?
To be honest, it's very bad. It is. Like, it's easier now to get drugs dropped to your house than it is to walk down to the off license and buy a drink. They're everywhere. Like, you know what I mean? It's drugs are everywhere now. Like,
But
you know what I
what's
mean?
the secret then? What secret do you have to share with young people, or more importantly, at this hour of the morning, their parents?
I suppose, like, what I have and what helps me and what continues to help me is speaking about how I'm feeling. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people can, like, you just have to speak about how you're feeling. Like, you know what I mean? If you start seeing someone that's drinking excessively or taking a lot of drugs and stuff, like, ask them how they are. You know what I mean? And speak about what's going on for them, because, like, it's very, very easy to use drink and drugs as a suppressant. A parent or child, anyone at any age, can use that. You know what I mean? So it's just find the reasons behind it, why you are drinking and why you're taking so much drugs and why you're drinking so much, and it's just try to catch it before it gets to that stage.
But
You know
what
I mean?
pushes them into it in the first place? What are the insecurities that push young people, boys and girls, into deciding to go
I
down that road?
suppose it seems to be some sort of a cool thing to do now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you'd see kind of, I don't really know how to explain that. Like, it's just, I suppose, boredom. It seems to be a cool kind of thing to do. Everyone seems like, I kind of know more people that do it now than don't do it at kind of a young age. You know what I mean? And I don't know why it is, but it's just so common to be doing it now. Like, and we just have to get rid of that stigma. It's not common to do it, and it's very, very easy to get on a bad road when you do it. Like,
Yeah. How do your folks feel about your recovery and the great place you're in now?
I've such a great relationship with my mother and father now, like, and my brothers, that I didn't for so long. You know what I mean? And it's great. Like, you know what I mean? It is, and they've helped me so much, and I'm forever grateful for them. Like, because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if it wasn't for them, and I didn't have the family I do.
Well, I'm so glad you're still here, and I had an opportunity to share in your story this morning. All I can say is congratulations. It's a super story of recovery. It really is.
Thank you, and I honestly really appreciate your time and appreciate you getting me the chance to speak about my story and try break the stigma around mental health and drugs and addiction, and that there is a way back from it. Like, you know what I mean?
Cheers, Mikey. Good to talk to you, my man. Appreciate it. Mind yourself.
Thank you. Bye.
Mind yourself.
Thank you. Bye.
Mind yourself.
Thank you. Bye.
Mind yourself.